Okay, and welcome to part 3 in this video series. Did I name that branch correct? Yes. Okay. In this one, we're going to talk about using jQuery's document.ready. So once we know that the page is loaded, we can access it with a little bit of JavaScript. Okay. So let's go into our app.js file. Now, if you go if you go into the project and then go to app.js, we then need to then call one of these methods. Now, a handy website which I love to use is w3schools.com, and if you go to, in this situation, jQuery/default.asp, you'll see this code here. So let's just be fantastic developers and then let's just copy paste it into here, and then we can talk through what this is doing. If you have no idea from JavaScript already, then basically skip over this, because I'm not really sure whether you're going to understand any of this. Okay, so this is basically saying, hey, the document tag, and that's what this is saying, document tag .ready is when you are completely ready and finished loading, call this function for me, please, right? So as we can do something. So in the beginning, just to be good developers, we're going to console document is ready, and we're going to console.log this out. Or to be even better, let's just say alerts. We don't even have to open the developer tools up. And let's come to here, create our first website, and it didn't work. So now we do need to open our editor tools up to find out what happened. Okay, dollar is not defined. Okay, so this is saying, this is a fantastic example of why it's not working. All right. So as I said to you, that the files in the head tag are loaded step by step, sequentially. So what the browser has done is it's loaded the CSS, and then it's loaded my app.js, and then it's executed it, and it's gone, hey, I can't find this dollar, which is from jQuery. So what we need to do here is we need to move my app.js file to be underneath the jQuery one, yeah? And let's just refresh this now. And as you see, document is ready, all right? So it worked just fine, all right? Let's go back to our app.js. Now, I then talked about two, we're gonna skip over a few things a little bit fast here. Talked about some tags, some attributes that tags may have, or all of them will have, and that's the ID. So let's go through this really fast. The ID is then, we can call this then welcome text, and if I come back to app.js and then I say document.get element by ID, and we'll say welcome text. Did I use an E in that text? Yes, I did. And this is going to be then elements here, and we're going to then say element.inner HTML. Oh, forget whether that is that a method or is that a property? Property is then here, and we'll say welcome to you. Okay, so now when we go back to our web page, and we see here that it now says welcome to you. So what has happened here? Let's get rid of this. And let's go to our CSS as well, and let's just say body font size equals 20. Come here, it's still too small, we'll say 40. Okay, and so now you see welcome to you. Now what happened here? Well, what happened is once then the document is ready, and that means that it's fully loaded, and it was displayed displayed to the user. But because of programming being so fast, and the computer can process information so fast, our eyes didn't see the change. Okay, or they didn't see the initial text, and the inner HTML property of this element got changed so fast that you never saw it. And it changed to welcome to you. What is this doing? Well, this is another part of the browser. Okay, and this is called the DOM, the Document Object Model. Okay, and the Document Object Model has the browser has converted everything from HTML into this document object model, and you can access this directly through JavaScript. So this here is essentially not JavaScript. It's you're using it inside of JavaScript. Okay, and here this once again is not JavaScript. It's just using JavaScript to do it. So it's the document object model. Okay, so try and separate this terminology. Is you have the document object model, and then you have JavaScript. You're using JavaScript to access the document object model. Okay, so you saw here document.getElementById. That means that we can access any element here, and this is then an HTML element here. Okay, I'm using yeah. Okay, I'm not going to explain that either. This is now accessing the element, and this element you can do anything you want with it now, but it's just a way of accessing the elements on your web page. All right. Okay, so now we know that when the document has loaded, we have access to it, and a good practice in this scenario is to configure all of your environment variables and everything that you want to do here, and then call start application, for example here, and here you would then have another method called start application, and here we would then say, for example, we can take this, put this in here, application started. Okay, so let's refresh this, and now you see application started. So once the document was ready, we did all of our pre-work that needs to be done, do some other work, and then we start our application. So we're preparing our website for it. Now, if you wanted to build a website 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, you wouldn't really be doing any of this. But the websites today, they are so technical, and there's so many things that you've got to be able to do. In my opinion, learning HTML and CSS is not building a website anymore. You've got to get to terms with that you are building a web app, right? It has JavaScript behind it, and even 5 years ago, people were reluctant to put lots of JavaScript into websites because of browser compatibility and so on. But now it's a really key important thing to use is JavaScript. So if anything, this is the core part of building your first website now, is then the JavaScript part of it. Now, I know lots of people that don't want to use jQuery anymore, because we could essentially do this without using jQuery at all. Whoops. And we could just then strip this away, remove jQuery, and just to be clear that you can do it without jQuery, remove jQuery from our index.html file. So now jQuery is not being loaded at all. And now we're using a window.onload event, which is then being called. And as you can see, it has exactly the same effects. Now you can see that in the other jQuery they use this function. Okay, we can write it like this. We can write it like this, and it would still all work perfectly fine too. It's exactly the same thing. It's just different syntax, and it does exactly the same thing. All right. Now I program Swift all day, every day, which uses lambdas, and this essentially is an arrow function in JavaScript, and I just prefer it because it's easier to write. Now you could also, just to give you a little bit more of an advanced way of doing it, is on window loaded events equals this here. Okay, and then you put all of your stuff in here, and then you just do this. Whoops. And put this then here. So then bind on window loaded event to window dot onload. And this one then starts the application. And now you've separated your logic into a few different steps. All right, and this will work just exactly the same. As you can see, I'm refreshing the page. It's not showing any difference because it's loading the same thing. So this is the window.onload event. So essentially in this scenario you don't actually need to use jQuery, because if you learn how to use the document object model, you don't need to use jQuery. Now jQuery is good for if you want to then communicate with the back end. Okay, therefore I would then keep it in. So we'll undo this and we'll keep it in for the time being. Okay, that was maybe a little bit too much, all right, but it was a highlight, an indication of how you would do these things. All right, so now what do we have from this? We now have a website where we've got JavaScript and we've got CSS and we've got a way of communicating with each other completely. So now the next step is to be able to communicate with our backend server, right, to be able to give us up-to-date information about the stocks, or which news you've just had in, and has someone liked something. So to keep it a little bit real time. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I don't know whether I confused you. Probably did confused you in some of these places, but I'm going through this in real slow time. And if there is anything I need to go through in more detail, then please let me know, and I will go through it in more detail. Okay, so I mean, there's probably about another 5 videos I could do just on the stuff that I've written here. Okay, all right. See you in the next video.